Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of our American Scouser TV pre-match opinion show. I'm Galley, filling in here, sitting in the host chair. Not sure where Matouche is on this fine Sunday morning, but I'm sure he'll be back before you know it, running his 5 or 6-a-side setup on the morning shows here in preparation of our matches. We're going to get right to it. I'm joined with Maka today. Maka, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm still asleep, so probably better than I am on Thursday nights for the Thursday pod.
That's a great point for anyone who listens. Maka also hosts the Thursday pod, which airs every Thursday at 8 Eastern, most times with Trevor and Brian. So we do it right. So let's get at it. We got a big match today with Fulham. As always, just want to remind anyone who's new to the program, feel free to leave a comment, chat, if it's on topic or it just makes us laugh and giggle, or you take a shot at anyone on the panel, which is always an easy way to get your comments read, especially if it might be the host. Go ahead, leave those comments. We love the interaction, and later on we'll be asking for your predictions as well. So, Maka, we're hosting Fulham Football Club today at Anfield. The newsstand is still not open yet, but rumor has it is coming soon, coming to a stadium near you soon. Only about a year and a half late, but match for anyone who lives under a rock is on Peacock today. So don't go complaining if you don't log in fast enough and your Peacock takes as long to load as mine does. I should probably never use the word Peacock and load in the same sentence again at 8:30 in the morning, because I have the maturity levels of a 10-year-old, and therefore I took that exactly where I should have. Maka, I got to ask you before we get to the lineups, because I find it a little comical, and you being, a person who moved to the United States, maybe you can kind of share your thoughts on this as well. All of the belly aching and bitching that happens about having to go on Peacock or stream these matches. Can you remind some of our listeners how hard it was to watch European football in this country when you got here a few years back?
It was near impossible, and if you did get to watch a match, you had to listen to Tommy Smith and his bloody onion bag comments every time somebody scored a goal. So I get to see more Liverpool games on TV than I would living back home. So I'm not complaining. I think it's great to have that service, and it's great. It's not the best service. There are better apps out there, etc. But The fact that it's there is a pleasantry for me. It means I can watch any game. It's just if I wanted to watch Sheffield United against Luton, I could watch Sheffield United against Luton. I should be kicked off the planet for doing so voluntarily, but I could do that if I wish.
Yeah, I always assume Bournemouth had almost as many people or Burnley had almost as many people in the United States watching their match yesterday with Sheffield United as they scored goals. And Sheffield United probably had less people in the United States watching that match than people they had sent off, because it was just dreadful. But not dreadful is our Liverpool Reds getting up and at it today against Fulham. Lineups come out. Obviously, the force change at the back with Kelleher replacing the injured Allison. We'll talk a little bit more about what you expect from Kelleher, what you'd like to see from Kelleher today. Because at times he hasn't looked as assured in between the sticks as he did, say, 2 years ago when he was playing all the matches in the Cups and kind of having some of his heroics. Trent, Matip, Van Dijk come right back into the side from the team that started midweek, and Tsimikas holds his place. Let's stay at the back. Is this exactly what you expected? A little bit of what you expected? Would you have liked to see more rotation, knowing we have 3 matches in 7 days to play?
Yeah, no, I think we talked on Thursday about you probably get Matip back in. Tsimikas is going to be the left back for now. You can't not have Van Dijk, and Trent Alexander-Arnold is the right back. So, the right back. Let's put it in inverted commas because it doesn't actually do it the way it's supposed to be done. So nothing in the back four surprised me. And obviously, it's going to be Kelleher over Adrian in the goals. But what I do think though is that because he knows he's going to get a run now, it might be different for Kelleher this time around, because he knows he has a chance to show what he can do. And it might be better for him in that sense than if he was just getting one game for like a PE position. But I think it'd be good. So at the back, what I expect from Kelleher is basically that he'll do a great job. It's Fulham. If he doesn't do a great job against Fulham, he's not Liverpool's next keeper, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'm still pretty sure he's not Liverpool's next keeper, but that's not. I don't think that's the conversation for today, and I think that just has more to do with Alisson has half a career ahead of him if he really wants to, and you don't get rid of the best for a chance at somebody else, especially when that someone else will fetch a fee eventually because he's going to want to play. He's going to have to play, but that's not the topic for today. Speaking of a guy who always comes in, does a good job from the West Coast, out in Nevada. Maybe part of the witness protection program at the moment, our good friend, Mr. Kazi. How are we doing, Kazi?
I'm good, brother. Yeah, guys. How are you this morning?
We're doing good. We just started up. We're talking. There we go. We can see that. We can see those choppers now. Before we were only getting the light in the back and the white in the middle. But as you heard there, because I know you were in the waiting room there coming in, a little bit on the back. No surprises for me. No. Big Joel making his 150th appearance for the club today. What a free transfer and a signing. Guys won the lot. We paid nothing for him. We all talk about Milner and what a free that was. And that was a cultural thing. We needed a leader and like a big boy man in the room, I think, and a winner. But Matip's done everything right with all the quirkiness, and the players love him. You can just see it. They're excited when he plays. I'm excited for him today. As far as Kelleher goes, could he have gotten a better landing spot in the Premier League other than to get your first start in a couple of years against Fulham, where the team is completely toothless and really should allow him to kind of bet into this match a little bit? I mean, what are your thoughts on Kelleher today, Kaz?
I mean, listen, it's only going to be a positive from what happened midweek. He got his clean sheet, and I thought he played quite well. It's probably his best game that he's had in this little stint, you would say. So that's massive. Really for him. Listen, mate, I don't get the stick for Kelleher. He's a backup goalkeeper. Right. You know what I mean? He's also 25, which isn't old in keeper terms. He's still kind of young lad, really. Keepers go to the late 30s. So, mate, I'm super pleased for him. Listen, I know what you're saying about Fulham being toothless and stuff, but just our luck today for them to show up, kind of thing, you know what I mean? And start life embarrassing us, but they are a competent Premier League team. You know what I mean? They are fine. They're just a fine Premier League team. But I see no problems today. I think we called the lineup probably. You probably could call that lineup on Thursday. So, yeah, mate. And again, when lads get runs of games like Matip, Kelleher, Kostas, then you're going to see better form, aren't you? And I've got a 2-year-old showing at me now. What can you do?
Millie wants every bit of this pre-match show every week. I'm loving it.
It's killing me. I'm trying to let my wife have a little lie-in. You can have a look. This is Millie, loosely named after James Milner. Loosely.
And then you love the connection. Your wife has named her Millie because she loved the name Millie.
It's one of them when she's pregnant and you're praying for the boy and you just name a Liverpool legend names and you find out that she's a girl and you're like, what about Paisley? And she's like, I know who that is. And I'm like, what about Millie? I like Millie. I was like, oh my God, she's going to go with it. She's going to go with this.
Brilliant.
That's exactly the argument I had with my wife for our child, Arvello Arbeloa.
Let's move up to the midfield. You're too much, Maka. It's too early for those types of jokes. Let's step into the midfield. I don't think anyone was shocked to see this 3 get selected, especially McAllister, Szoboszlai coming off of them being rested fully midweek, and then of course, Gravenberch put in another performance midweek that definitely shows he and Jones are getting closer and closer, if that is them fighting for that last spot on the midfield 3. Maka, I'll start with you on this one. What do you expect to see today? This is the midfield I expected because I think we are going to be on the front foot and attacking a lot. You comfortable with this? Would you like to see anything specifically out of the 3 of them to maybe improve?
I mean, I expected the midfield. I think Gravenberch did fantastic on Thursday. But the one thing about it for me is Szoboszlai has been almost like had a dip. Probably looked like he needed that game off. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes in fresh, with not as much running in his legs. We talked on Thursday about the fact that McAllister's not a proper number 6, but this is the kind of game where we probably don't need a proper number 6. We probably need somebody who can keep the game driving forward and keep Fulham under pressure. And for that, I think McAllister's very, very good. And then with Matip behind him as well, driving forward, I think that tells us what Klopp's impetus for this game will be, which will be to just keep Fulham pinned back as much as possible. And keep the attack going. I would like to see, because I know Gravenberch has played as a 6 previously, I would like to see that midfield rotating a little bit so that nobody in the opposition knows which 2 midfielders are running at the defenders and who's minding the shop. I think that, I don't know, haven't said that, I don't know what Shalbo is like, for that is his name, defending. So maybe that might not be the best idea I've ever had. But I think it'd be nice to see some little bit of rotation so McAllister gets into the attacking positions more as a surprise, because I think he is very, very good on the ball.
Yeah, and that came up Monday night a little bit as well in the pod. For anyone listening right now, we do our podcast Mondays and Thursdays live from 8 to 9 Eastern time. On Monday, we talked about how, when we bought McAllister, my thought was really he would bed in on the right-hand side and play behind Mo and in front of Trent and create the triangles and really push forward there. I think in need, he's moved into the 6. I think we will see some rotation. I thought Endo was fine midweek. I did not get to watch the match live, so I had to go back and watch it afterwards in the extended highlights. I thought Endo was okay, did his job. He was tidy at times. I think he will get a Premier League start here in the next couple of matches somewhere to give some rest with the, midweek matches and then the League Cup match coming. And then we have the last round of the Europa League. So I do think you see some of that rotation, and I'm hoping it will push McAllister a little forward to get some opportunities there. Kazi, we talked a lot about Soboslai, and I do feel in some places American Scouts is one of the few areas I'm actually seeing the guy get a little bit of stick recently for some down performances. He almost feels like he's the untouchable man. If you criticize him, you immediately get grief. But as we all know, you say something nasty about Jones online and you'll get 50 people to defend him and 50 people to agree with you. Well, is it just the shiny new toy? Or is it we see the upside in his play so we don't always nitpick at the little things like we would say to Trent?
Maybe. I think it's more, we've seen enough out of him where he will be at a level where we know he's capable of. He's entitled to bed in. I just think he got to a level so high early doors, and that might be he's kind of I'm not saying he's struggling by any sense, but he probably just hasn't reached his level. He's probably just a touch below it, which is fine. Again, that's okay. He needs time to bed in. We've been surprised by their level early doors and with the new signings. I have to disagree with you boys, to be honest, on the McAllister thing. Liverpool have lost 2 in 30. I keep saying it. And the 2 games we lost was Toulouse away, which we should have drew, and then Spurs away, which we all know what happened. So right. The manager's argument will always be, well, we're winning football matches. What's the complaint? Yes, it's not perfect, but we're winning football matches. So there's a balance in it. Do you know what I mean? There is a balance here. But, and the more he plays it, the better he's going to get, surely. Surely, you'd like to think. But, again, the manager signed Endo for a reason. He just might need a bit longer to bed in. But we'll find out, I suppose.
Yeah. I think we have to find out now during this run of matches where we're going to see so many coming so quick. Sparky Parky jumps in. Morning, guys. So happy they don't have early kickoffs on Sundays.
It's still early for coffee.
This is still a little early. Well, Sparky a lot of times is all the way out in Arizona as well, so he joins us middle of the night too. So we do appreciate all of our viewers, regardless of where you're coming from or what time of the day it is. Even Zahid, who he's actually on the normal timelines out on the European side of things, and even he jumps in when he's free and available. We appreciate it. When we look up top, Diaz, Salah, Nunez. I will say this. I gave Kazi a little stick, and it was really just banter because I wasn't watching the match with the Gakpo Nunez comments because he loves to get it in, and I love to give it back. After rewatching the match, he was imperious. He was brilliant. And to be honest, this comes back to other things we've been talking about too. Kazi calls him this all the time. He's not just a proper striker. He's a proper footballer. The guy can do everything. And I think in some ways it might be hurting him a little bit in this moment that Klopp has so many pieces that because he can do everything, he is a guy who can come in and change the midfield. He's a guy who can come in and score you a winner. He can create a goal for you. When he played 90 minutes on Thursday and hadn't had a run of back-to-back matches, I knew he wouldn't be starting today. But I also think this is with an eye on him starting midweek. And I think I think we're going to start to see 3, even 4 attackers at time, because I think you got to get Nunez, and you need to get Nunez and Gakpo working together, especially for the period where Mo goes away to the AFCON. And I think during that time, you might even see Szoboszlai move forward and play sometimes on the right in the attack, and Gakpo maybe even drop into the midfield. Because, I think Klopp is falling further and more in love with Gakpo actually playing as the second forward or off the striker. Because if you could get to a world where Gakpo and Nunez have the relationship that Nunez and Salah are creating, with their size, pace, and really Gakpo's ability to pick a pass and make a play, I could really see it benefit both players. What do we expect today out of Diaz, Salah, and Nunez running out of back line that starts a 33-year-old Tim Ream as wearing the armband? And he's been a great servant to Fulham Football Club. But let me tell you, as an American who watches him play against world-class players with too much pace, it can be ugly at times. So it'll be really interesting. And I don't know if you guys have seen a lot of Fulham so far this year. The Bassi kid he shows why they feel he has so much promise, but he's got a rash tackle and a mistake in him almost at any moment. He's got an awful lot of Dejan Lovren in him. So when you look at this lineup, where would you say, Kazi, Liverpool needs to be cognizant of? Where's the threat here from Fulham in your eyes?
It's a great question. I don't know what the threat is. Because I think Willian's their best player at times. Do you know what I mean? So, and Willian isn't starting today. Every time I see Willian, he looks like he's a man reborn, kind of thing. But I don't think Liverpool should have any issues or, problems, really. I like Paulinho. I think he's a good player. I think actually Pereira's actually a decent player, to be honest, Andreas. I think he's actually a decent centre midfielder. It's actually funny that he actually used to play for United, and they could actually probably do with him right now, which is kind of hilarious. You look at Jimenez, he hasn't been the same player since his injury, which is very unfortunate for him because I thought he was one of the best strikers in the league, to be honest, before his head injury. He's excellent. I'm a big fan of the keeper. I think Leno's a really underrated goalkeeper. You actually look at it, and he was Arsenal's number 1 2 years ago. And now, of course, he's at Fulham because things happen and they get their own keepers in, they go the other way kind of thing. But, there's good players in there. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely good players in there. Paulinho should be playing for Bayern Munich right now. So there's no bums in there. It's just, I don't think they've got enough to damage Liverpool. I think the way they would have had to play the game is probably do like a Dakova Reed, and this is on the counter-attack with Wilson and stuff like that. And that's how you kind of have to play the game. I think going up with Raul tells me that they want to get on the ball and they want to try and dictate a bit of play with their 30% possession maybe. But I don't think that's going to work long-term for today against Liverpool. No chance.
Yeah, so what does work long-term is bringing the boss in when he shows up for work. So he might not have showed up on time, but he showed up. So we appreciate that. Good morning, Timuchin. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, gentlemen. What's happening?
Not too much. Just getting ready for this big match. We talked through the Liverpool side quickly there, kind of going position group by position group. It's pretty much what we all thought we would see, I think, in many ways. Before we talk a little more about the Fulham attack, and I'll ask you the same question, where you see it coming from. Did you have any shocks on the lineup? Comfortable with it? Happy to see it?
No shocks. I missed the beginning. I'm sure Kazi already said it, but I would have probably preferred Gakpo for Nunez in a game like this and bring Nunez afterwards. But I don't think there's any shocks in there. Midfield, you want Gravenberch in there, and that will be the only question mark. We talked about it before. I think Mac as a 6 works in these games where we're going to have a lot of the possession and we're going to dominate and try to score goals. So no real shocks and no huge complaints. I would have preferred Gakpo in a situation like this where they probably have a low block and trying to counter like you guys were saying. But let's hope Nunez comes through.
Yeah, we kind of said it once he played 90 minutes, we knew the writing was on the walls. Nunez,
Yeah,
but they got a
sadly.
game on Wednesday, so they got to play Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, or Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday. So and the midweek match isn't like a League Cup match; it's an actual league turnaround. So we got a short week turnaround. So I think the rotation makes sense. Sparky Parky says Fulham's threat will be our complacency. It's not a terrible shout. I will say, when you look at this lineup, the one thing they do, they create, especially when Antoine Robinson is getting down and making runs. So if Robinson can get forward at times, maybe he can create some opportunities. I'm with Kazi. I don't think Raul, Jimenez has never been the same player. Just doesn't even look a shell of it. I'm shocked Williams not playing. He's been their best player. And to be honest, Vinicius doesn't score goals, but he's a huge body in the middle of the pitch, and he holds the ball up, and he gives opportunities for Decadova-Reid and others to run onto things. So maybe that's their plan, is to keep it tight and try to stay close, and then take it from there. So when you look at this side, though, and you think about where Fulham is, because, Kazi made a comment earlier, they're a good side. They're an okay side, right? Fulham, to me, appear, in my mind, is almost like the worst spot you can be in. You're not good enough that anyone talks about you. You're not really bad enough that you're probably going to fall down into like the relegation scraps. But they never seem to like feel good about themselves. They get a 1-1 draw against Wolves, and it's like, we could have won that. They come back late and get the miraculous goals, the 2 Willian penalties. And it just never feels like, I almost feel like the way Mitrovic did them dirty by basically just slamming his way out the door after they looked like they were building something. They got a good manager that clearly gets a lot out of his players, but looks miserable. Like, literally looks like he's like forced to work there. And like at night they put him in a jail cell, and then in the morning they feed him, throw some water on him, and they're like, go manage the club today, son. They're almost like they're just in that no man's land. And it almost looks depressing. Like they're going through the motions literally every week, being like, how many more of these do we have until the summer break happens again and we can hit reset? So they just don't look like a side that has much to actually play for. Where a team like Burnley walks out of yesterday and actually feels like their season was started because they get a 5-0 victory. They climb a little bit up the table. I don't know. Sir Z says, worried Paulinho could have an immense game and frustrate us. He's the best player, but
come on,
we're not losing to the defensive midfielder of the opponent.
Let's be realistic here. Liverpool are at home. Let's just relax a bit. Yes, they've got some good players. Your Fulham point, I think it's a great point, because I actually think Fulham's targets this year were thought there's definitely going to be 3 teams worse than us in the league. So it's okay to have a little transitional season with Mitrovic leaving, and then we can go again next year. Like, we can finish 17th and be fine, because we'll just go again next year as long as they stay in the league. So they're still evaluating themselves. So I agree. I think they're in that transitional stage where they go, we're not going to challenge for Europe, we're not going to get relegated, we're just in the in-betweeners, which is fine for this season, because there is worse teams in the league, a lot worse teams, and they shouldn't really be down there. You'd probably stay up on 33 points this year because they're that bad, all the teams, which is kind of low. Usually we always say the magic 40-point mark as a guarantee. Don't think that's going to be it this year. So I think Fulham are okay to have that transitional season this season, definitely.
I think Marco Silva has that look because he has the look of a man who has managed Everton. David Moyes has the same look on his face as well.
Anyone. Carlo Ancelotti. It's the same thing.
Sean Dyche will have it as well when he's done. Just
Sean Dyche showed up with it. Sean Dyche showed up with that face. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's why he's doing so well there.
You could do the before and after of every one of the managers, and it would be like that before and after one becomes president of the United States, where they like show him as a young, vibrant candidate, and then 5 years later he looks like Joe Biden, right? And he's literally like the Christopher. But if you go through every one of those, you look at the before and after, and they all look like they aged like a decade. And if you did that with Sean Dyche, it would be like his playing day picture and today, and it would still look exactly the same, because I'm convinced he was born with that like gruff, like the first words he said were probably like and like basically like growled at his mom. There was never a moment where like a young, cute, willy-nilly Sean Dyche like ran out and gave someone a hug. He's been kicking kids in the ankle since he was 6. I'll guarantee it.
Sean Dyche was born 41.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's the
He
40
walked
goal game.
straight out, smoking a butt, arguing with somebody about something. So we only got a few more minutes here. I want to give a couple minutes. Prediction time, guys. Where are we going with the scores? Give me a score line. Give me your player of the match. And Maka, will start with you.
Score. I'm going to go 4-0. I think we should be winning 4-0 against Fulham. But because it's at Anfield, so that would be my win. But the player of the match, I think Gravenberch. I think like he just did so well on Thursday, like running the show almost. That I think he's going to hopefully carry it over today and link everything together. And then when Gakpo comes on, which I'm sure he will at some point, it'll be like a step up of how things should be linked together. My only fear in the entire game is Núñez missing easy chance after easy chance, because then me and Cozzy are going to have to be like put into straitjackets for the laughing.
Wait till you get. So Sir Z jumps in with, wait till you guys see Núñez's new hairstyle today. Has a Britney Spears thing going on. I have
What
no
is a Britney
idea
Spears thing going on?
I
Cozzy,
don't know what that could mean, unless he shaved his head bald randomly in the middle of the night and then showed up for a random interview or something, because I know she did that once when she was at like the height of her day. And I'll say this, if he did that, that would be awful, because one, there are certain men that look good with long hair. There are certain men that probably should never shave their head bald, and my bet is he's one of them. But I know hairstyles and hairdos is always a huge topic of conversation, especially when I have this trio on the panel with me. So, Maka, I know how much you're going to love that. Oh, wow. He went, Sir Z says 2 braids. All right. If his hair is braided, there is a great chance
another
he is
reason for
going
him to annoy me. We haven't even kicked
I
off.
was just going to say,
we haven't
He's
kicked
looking for
off.
fights.
We haven't kicked off, and he's annoyed me.
So we will do this. Kazi, give me your score line and player of the match today.
Yeah, so 4-0 yesterday. I'll stick with it. 4-0. It's Liverpool at home. Liverpool are very good at home. So I play the match Salah. Salah's 1 away from his 200 goal. Probably scored a hat-trick just to make sure that he gets a 200 goal. Because that's the type of player he is. But before we go, has anyone seen the FA Cup draw? To really piss you off on a Sunday morning?
Yeah, I saw it right before we went live, or I wouldn't have been able to. I would have had a graphic up. Obviously, now the only thing I didn't see is it home or away?
Away. It's away.
So we're literally going to Arsenal in the first playable round of the FA Cup.
Man City, but don't worry, Man City got Huddersfield at home, so that's make sure they're okay. But yeah,
wow,
so that's fun, isn't it? But the one taste, Everton go to Palace, Burnley go to Spurs, so a lot of Prem teams are playing each other. So if we do get past Arsenal somewhere, it will open up for us. I think that's the game before Salah goes to the AFCON. I think could be his last game, so that'll be important. Actually, now I didn't think it would be. I thought we might play Gillingham, but no.
Right. No, we couldn't get that lucky and have that type of a draw.
Sparky just mentioned the game of the round. Newcastle playing Sunderland is tasty for us.
This is where I always say though, this is where I don't believe that these draws are just random, because there was like, I saw the equations, like how many different options there were, and the fact that miraculously we get a Tyneside derby that we haven't had in years, like literally a war of a city. I mean, I remember when they used to talk about it and say, like, when the matches were at the Stadium of Light, right? The Newcastle fans would have to report to St. James's Park, get on a bus to go to Sunderland so they could be escorted into the stadium 2 hours before the match started, and were forced to stay 2 hours after the match ended. Like, the only way you could get to the non-supporter, the away section, was to come from your stadium on a bus out of safety precautions. And I know that's nothing compared to the crazy ass shit that happens in Istanbul when these.
I was gonna say that sounds like just a regular old game in Istanbul to me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's like a Tuesday afternoon in Turkey. And then again, yesterday's Euro draw shows us that, England's luck just happens to also reach out into UEFA competitions when they have really good sides, because they walked away with a pretty good group for themselves to play in as well, that they should pretty much do a steam walk and a stroll through. We had a couple more, 3-1 and Salah player of the match from Sparky Parky, Trevor sticking with the 3-1. I guess he's giving his man of the match to sticking with, or maybe himself. Timuchin, what do you have score
Oh,
line?
you know it. You know it. Why do you even ask it? Yeah, I'm going with the Timuchin special. This game is screaming for a Timuchin special on 3-1. I am hoping, I would have said Mo. I kind of agree with Kazi. These kind of things mean a lot to him, like the 200th goal and stuff like that. He would want to get that at Anfield and all that. But I am hoping on the side that Diaz has a good game. I thought the midweek was kind of encouraging. I want to kind of like see more of that. So I'm hoping he has a good game and he's like a big part of the ordeal.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually say they continue with the clean sheet. I think that it was important to them to get one midweek. I think they're gonna want it today. I think it's important for Kelleher's confidence that the defenders remember they have a backup keeper in there and get him vocal and, you know, cheer him on. I think they'll want to make sure that this kicks him to a good run of matches because it's important, right? We're going to play the most matches in the shortest amount of time, and we got to go with a guy who hasn't gotten a lot of minutes or reps. And I know Klopp said maybe Ali's back in 2 weeks. I still think he's probably pushing the Arsenal match, not the United match, because I think you give him extra time and you make sure he's fit. I would hate to see something. I would just hate to see it, but I think it's 3 goals. I'm going to say Mo, but I have the sneaky feeling, mainly because, you know, I've been calling him off the boil and mediocre, that Szoboszlai will probably have a worldie from about 45 yards today, and that'll just, you know, and then there'll be all laughs on me. But to your guys' point, Mo absolutely gets the 200th goal today. And I wouldn't even be surprised with the pressure we put on them and how low and deep they defend at times and how old their defense is in certain areas, especially Tim Ream at the back. I could even see a mistake and Mo getting one from the spot today and them having a penalty, or us getting a penalty awarded to us. And, you know, the league still owes us a few makeup calls, and they seem to all be happening at Anfield when they do occur. So, all right, guys, anybody got anything else before we get out of here and everybody
I want the camera to be on Harry Wilson when Salah scores his 200 goal, just to see his reaction. A little like,
I'll guarantee
throwing the arms up in celebration and remembering who he's playing for.
I'll guarantee that will happen at some point.
At the end of the game, the fist pumps and Klopp next to him.
There's two things you can guarantee will happen. One, Darwin will annoy Kazi within the first 5 minutes of the match.
If he's not too blades, I'm annoyed. Yep. I'm annoyed.
He's already done it. The second guarantee is that at some point, Andreas Pereira will mean mug the entire world. Like he will make Richarlison look like a happy camper because that guy is as angry as any player. And I think that's what fuels his football, actually. You know, most Brazilians are happy-go-lucky. Pereira is not one of those type of players. He is one I would walk out for. And then I think the last big guarantee is that the crowd will be up for it. I think they'll know this is a big match because this kicks off really the real run of festive fixtures, in my opinion. And I think that, to Kazi's point, it's 2 losses in 30 matches for Liverpool as a club. I think the crowd knows that there's something special brewing, and I expect them to give them a good response from a league standpoint coming off that performance last week at City, because they deserve it. They didn't play great, but they got a point at the toughest place to play, arguably one of the toughest places to play in all of Europe, against one of the toughest first 11s. And I just feel like every time you do something like that to a side like City, you put a little bit of doubt in their head. Hell, you got Pep Guardiola yesterday talking in a press conference saying, City fans, you're not supposed to win triples. You're not supposed to win 5 out of 6 Premier League titles. There's going to be some bad times here eventually, and I hope you're ready and you're still here. That sounds like a guy who maybe knows there's a date for next fall to go to court, and they may not be able to win everything in that.
Perfect time for when his contract runs out as well. Just, mwah.
It's a classic. Listen, if there's one thing that man has done, he's already preparing the resume for Juventus, because he's like, all I got to do is go to Juve and win there, and I'll win in every league. Or maybe I want to go win the World Cup with all these English stars that I've bred. He's going to be the Phil Foden coach that takes this golden generation to win something big. Okay. And then we'll have to all listen to him do victory laps and throw roses at his own feet and pedals and probably whine about fixture congestion and then not make subs. But this is the beauty, right? We get to have fun and watch a team that we love, and our manager aligns with our supporters. And I don't think you can probably put a price on how valuable it is when your manager and the players actually connect with your supporters. And I think we do that better than anybody in the country, and we always have. And I think there could be something really special happening in the next few months. So it's going to be exciting times and an exciting day.
Definitely.
All right. As always, if you are watching us on Facebook and have not yet subscribed, please go over to the YouTube channel, give a subscription. We bring content out through videos, shorts. We have live shows Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the mornings. We also have live at 10 Eastern, and on Monday and Thursday nights, we do live podcasts and streams, 8 p.m., Facebook, Twitter, formerly Twitter, now X, and YouTube. But give it a subscription. If you want to get involved, drop us a message or a line. We would greatly love to have you in. And we will be back post-match, probably about 15 minutes after the final whistle, to review the wonderful performance, check out the predictions, see who was right, who was wrong, and how angry we all are with Darwin's new do. All right, everybody. Have a great week. From all of us here at American Scouser, we appreciate you. Enjoy the match.